I took one of the new yet underlooked Pokemon in Gen 9, Scovillain, and turned it into a powerhouse. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet introduced a lot of new Pokemon. Some are really cool. I mean, just look at Iron Valiant over here. Others, however, they take a bit of getting used to. I'll admit, I like Scovillain. It's a pretty cool Pokemon in that it has a dual typing of grass and fire, which plays into the fact that it's basically a pepper, you know, hence the name, Scovillain. Scoville plus villain. But for as cool as Scovillain may seem, its stats aren't really the greatest. However, Scovillain does have a signature move called Spicy Extract. This move increases the attack of the target Pokemon by 2 stages. However, it also decreases the defense of the target by 2 stages as well. It's kind of a weird double-edged sword, right? Do you use it on your own Pokemon to increase their attack but risk them getting one-shot? Or do you use it on the opposing Pokemon to make them weaker but risk getting counter-attacked? If only there was a way where we could benefit from one Pokemon having both increased attack and lowered defense. Oh wait, we do. It's something called Foul Play. Foul Play is a dark type move that has a base power of 90. It's a physical move, so if the target has reduced defense, it'll do more damage. But the unique thing about Foul Play is that the damage is actually calculated using the target's attack stat instead of the user's. So if Foul Play is used on a Pokemon that was hit by Spicy Extract, both the defense drop and the increased attack combine to let Foul Play do big damage. There are many Pokemon that can use Foul Play, but Scovillain's main partner in crime today will be Sableye. Not only does Sableye get the same type attack bonus for being a dark type, which increases the damage of the move by 50%, but Sableye knows some other handy moves, such as Sunny Day, and also Skill Swap. Both of these are status moves too. That means that Sableye's ability Prankster will allow these moves to gain priority too, moving earlier in the turn. Now, why would I want Sunny Day and Skill Swap specifically? Well, Scovillain can do more than just use Spicy Extract. If Sableye with Prankster sets up the sun using Sunny Day, Scovillain's speed is doubled because of its ability Chlorophyll. And since speed is updated in real time in Pokemon battles, that means that Scovillain might be able to suddenly outspeed the opposing Pokemon and be able to use Flamethrower, which also does 50% more damage thanks to being in the sun. But that's not all. If you use Skill Swap while the sun is up, you'll now have a Scovillain that can move first using Spicy Extract with Prankster, and Sableye can follow up with a Foul Play thanks to a doubled speed since it will now have Chlorophyll in the sun. As strong as these two are though, there need to be some backup options. That's where Hawlucha comes in. Hawlucha alone doesn't seem to synergize that much with Scovillain, but this is fixed with the new item in Gen 9 called the Mirror Herb. When an opposing Pokemon's stats are increased, the Mirror Herb is consumed to copy those same increases on the Pokemon holding it. This means that when Scovillain uses Spicy Extract on an enemy, Hawlucha can get the benefits of the +2 attack without the downside of the reduced defense. But that's not all. The fact that the Mirror Herb is consumed when this happens is really important. Once the Mirror Herb is consumed, there are 2 benefits. The first is that Acrobatics, a move that usually has a base power of 55, gets doubled to 110 base power since Hawlucha no longer has an item. Another benefit though is that Hawlucha has the ability Unburden, which doubles the Pokemon's speed when it has no held item. So, if Scovillain uses Spicy Extract first, Hawlucha will gain not only increased attack, but also increased speed. Sableye and Hawlucha are really the 2 main synergizers with Scovillain. The rest of the team is only able to somewhat work with Scovillain, but that doesn't mean that they aren't that great though either. We have Electrode, who is another speedy Pokemon that also knows Foul Play, and in the event that you go up against a Trick Room team and you need some slower Pokemon, Amoonguss is there who also knows Foul Play, and of course we have King Gambit, who is just the regular slow sweeper. But enough talking. I think it's time to let this Scovillain have its moment in the sunlight. For the first match, it looks like they don't have any Paradox Pokemon, lucky us, so that means that we can have our leads be Scovillain and Sableye with Hawlucha and Electrode in the back. Since this looks like it is a pretty fast team, we won't need our slower options. I mean, their slowest Pokemon only is really Amoonguss, and that's about it. So let's see, they lead with Meowscarada and Hydreigon, a grass type Pokemon as the lead. So with Sableye and Scovillain as our lead, we can go for a cheeky little Sunny Day with the Flamethrower onto that Meowscarada. And if it doesn't have Focus Sash, it could be a potential one-hit KO here. So we're going to use Sunny Day with Sableye and Flamethrower with Scovillain. But it looks like they are going to terrestrialize their Hydreigon into a Steel type. So in hindsight, if I had used Flamethrower onto this Hydreigon, that probably would have been a KO. But the thing is that with Hydreigons, they either lately have been terrestrializing into either Steel or Fire. So if that was a Fire terrestrialization, it would have been a bit of a bad play. So it's a sort of a coin flip on what it does terrestrialize into. So it's rather safer to go into the Meowscarada at least. It's more typically has grass terrestrializations, even if it were to terrestrialize. But it does survive though, it's quite bulky. And the Hydreigon does use Focus Energy, so it's trying to set up. Which is actually great for us, because that means that next turn now, essentially, we can just use Foul Play to finish off the Meowscarada, and with the sun up, Scovillain should be able to outspeed and can one-hit KO the now Steel type Hydreigon. Although the Meowscarada does move first, it is quite speedy and gets Scovillain quite low, but it doesn't KO it. So we can have Scovillain pick up the KO onto the Hydreigon with that Flamethrower. All of that setup, the terrestrialization and everything, all for nothing. Meanwhile, with our Sableye now, with Meowscarada already weakened, the foul play does pick up the double KO. So that means Scovillain and Sableye both are able to survive that and take out both of his Pokemon, with his final two Pokemon being the Amoonguss and the Goldengo, both of which are weak to a Flamethrower. So, I have Sableye actually use Taunt on the Amoonguss, because even though Amoonguss can use Rage Powder, since Scovillain is a grass type, it isn't affected, but I thought, just for fun, let me Taunt it. So there's the Rage Powder that I was just talking about. But remember, because of the grass typing of Scovillain, it is not affected at all by the Rage Powder, or any powders for that matter. So, under the sun, it is able to outspeed, and there's the Flamethrower onto the Goldengo, and being a Steel typing, it is a one-hit KO. Now, of course, with nothing left but an Amoonguss, obviously, the Scovillain Sableye Dream Team is able to win with just those two. For this next battle, once again, looking at their team, they don't have a very slow team, they have a rather fast team, so we can go ahead and lead with Sableye and Scovillain, with Hawlucha and Electrode in the back once again. They lead though with Noivern as well as a Luxray. So for turn 1, what we're going to do is we're going to use Foul Play against the Noivern and have Scovillain use Spicy Extract. Note that we're not going to be using Sunny Day here to try and change the speed or anything like that. We're going to try and go for a KO right from the start. And obviously, Flamethrower probably won't pick up a KO, so instead, we're going to try and use Spicy Extract with Foul Play. We're also going to use a Terrestrialization on our Scovillain here and make it a Steel typing, which is purely defensive. It's not like it has a Steel type move or anything, but it is going to be weak to a possible flying move from the Noivern. So Steel will hopefully make that safe, as well as the fact that we are now increasing its attack. It is very important that we stay defensive, and there is the Acrobatics, and thankfully, because of the Steel typing, we now survive that. The Luxray does also move first, so Sableye does move last in the turn order, but that, again, that's because there's no skill swapping with the Sun Up. So Sableye gets the Foul Play onto the Noivern and gets the one-hit KO. I will say, speaking of speed and all that stuff, something that I should probably mention now is that you'll see that there are no Paradox Pokemon here. This team kind of struggles against some of the new Paradox Pokemon, specifically the Scarlet ones, where Sun being set up with them triggers their photosynthesis, so that's kind of a scary thing. The next Pokemon though is going to be Meowscarada, so seeing a grass type here, now is the perfect opportunity to use Sunny Day with Scovillain to set up the Sun, which now will increase the speed of Scovillain, allowing it to use a Flamethrower right here with the stab and 50% damage boost that is able to one-hit KO the Meowscarada instantly. The Luxray is still up though, but it looks like the Luxray is only just going to be wild charging the Sableye. So it's slowly whittling it down, but it's not really that much of a threat right now. It might be choiced, in fact, since it's using wild charge twice in a row. And let's see what their next Pokemon is. It is going to be, I don't know what that is, I can't read that. It is a Greninja. Ooh, an interesting choice. But that's not really something we have to worry about. I will say here, I use Skill Swap with Scovillain now since the Sunny Day is up to increase Sableye's speed, and have Flamethrower go into the Luxray, but now that I think about it in hindsight, it's probably not that necessary actually, to use Sunny Day, that is. Because I mean, Skill Swap. Because all that would happen is that now Sableye would have faster speed, but Sableye, I don't really think it needs to outspeed anything here, especially because of the fact that you'll see here, the Greninja uses Water Shuriken, which actually has a +1 priority, which is on par with Prankster essentially. So having a faster Sableye isn't going to outspeed a Water Shuriken Greninja. But thankfully though, it is using that onto the Scovillain rather, sorry. And it does practically no damage. Meanwhile, Sableye can use Skill Swap. Flamethrower does not KO the Luxray. So if you think about it, Sableye survives a wild charge there. So if I just had Sableye use Foul Play, he would have gone right now and KO'd the Luxray. But unfortunately, hindsight is always 20/20. So I guess if you ever see the scenario, realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't always have to use Skill Swap, because now Sableye is faster, yes, with the Sun Up, but it's not fast enough to matter. As you can see here, I try and do the old not Water Shuriken, that's what it's trying to do on me. It moves first because of the +1 priority of Water Shuriken, but I try and do the Spicy Extract Foul Play now onto the Greninja, which is obviously going to be sped up now with Spicy Extract going first. And Sableye does in fact move before Luxray, but if you think about it, last turn if I had just KO'd the Luxray instead of skill swapping, this would have been the same exact scenario here, just Luxray would also be down. So Greninja does go down thanks to the foul play with the reduced defense and increased attack. But of course, there goes the Luxray KOing the Sableye with Wild Charge yet again. So I can send in Hawlucha there for the follow-up. And I mean, with only Luxray left with a sliver of health, obviously they forfeit, giving us the win. These past two matches have all been about Sableye and Scovillain, but now I think it's time to show off what Hawlucha can do. So we're going to use the same 4 Pokemon in our lineup, leading with Sableye and Scovillain again, but the opponent is going to lead with Arcanine and Azumarill. So knowing that a Sun boosted Flamethrower won't do much for us here against the Fire type Arcanine and the Water type Azumarill, I instead decide that the best course of action is going to be to have Sunny Day just for the speed boost, while Scovillain is able to protect to keep himself safe for this turn. I do risk, of course, having Sableye going down, but like I said, I rather want to have Hawlucha be showcased here, so I don't really mind if Sableye does go down. So Scovillain gets off the Protect there, Sableye does use Sunny Day. This also does kind of put a scary situation in that now Arcanine has the increased attack. In fact, it's trying to use Flare Blitz there against Scovillain, so thankfully I did use Protect there, because if I didn't, that would have been a lot of damage going onto that Scovillain with the Sun boosted Flare Blitz. So Sableye does go down, which means that I can now send in Hawlucha, who is the real star of this team right now, for this match at least. Because now, with Hawlucha out, I can set up the Scovillain Hawlucha sweep. I can have Hawlucha use Acrobatics. I'm also going to be Terrestrializing into Fire here. I'm going to use Acrobatics onto Arcanine because I want to get it out since it has the... It's also getting boosted by the sun, so sooner I can get Arcanine down the better. I can also use Spicy Extract on it. And we're both going to Terrestrialize here. I am Terrestrializing into Fire. That's of course to get rid of the Fighting type so that I'm no longer weak to Play Rough. And it looks like Azumarill is going into Electric type, maybe because it's worried that Scovillain is going to use Solar Beam or something. So it's getting rid of that Water type. So again, because of the sun, Scovillain moves first because right now it has its speed doubled. And Hawlucha right now doesn't have any boosts, but once Spicy Extract goes off on Arcanine, the Mirror Herb is consumed here. So Hawlucha's attack increases, but not only that, it is now also double speed, so it can move first and use Acrobatics to take out Arcanine. And remember, Acrobatics now also does double damage because of no health item. So it is a win-win all around, and Play Rough also goes into Hawlucha, and we survive that again thanks to the fact that we are now no longer weak to Fairy type moves because of our Fire typing and no longer a Fighting type. Next up comes Mousehold. So I'm a bit concerned right now because I don't know if that Mousehold is the supportive type with Friend Guard and whatnot. So Hawlucha, I'm actually going to have him Protect first, while Scovillain can try maybe see if he can pick up a KO with Flamethrower onto the Mousehold. So Hawlucha, there goes the Protect. And let's see, there is the Follow Me from the Mousehold. So this is most likely a bulky Mousehold. And let's see how much Flamethrower does. It does about let's say 60%, although that Citrus Berry is going to replenish its HP, so it's not really the best situation for us right now. The Azumarill is going to Play Rough onto the Hawlucha, but again, Protect keeps it safe. So the issue now is that with Hawlucha having double speed, there's no point in using Spicy Extract and Scovillain, because Hawlucha will now move first before the Scovillain. So I suppose the best play would be to have Close Combat, because if for some reason Mousehold doesn't use Follow Me, I can maybe KO the Azumarill and have Scovillain pick up the KO on the Mousehold with Flamethrower. But Mousehold does use Follow Me, so Hawlucha is going to move first and use Close Combat onto it. That's fine because that should pick up the KO, and yes, it does. Although this does mean that it is very likely that when Azumarill goes, it will KO the Hawlucha. But that's fine though, because we do still have Electrode in the back. Unless, of course, the Scovillain with Flamethrower it doesn't pick up the KO. It does about 55% damage. Play Rough though takes out Hawlucha. So that means we are both down to our final 2 Pokemon. For me though, that's going to be Electrode, and for him, let's see what that is going to be. Ooh, it's going to be the Meowscarada for him. That's actually great because that means that we still have our Scovillain, which is boosted in the sun still for I think about 1 more turn. So this turn we can have Electrode try and use a Foul Play most likely onto the Azumarill. Obviously it's not really going to get much use out of the other Thunder moves. And meanwhile, Scovillain can use Flamethrower to try and KO the Meowscarada, which it should be able to do unless it is both bulky or it has a Focus Sash. There's the Flamethrower from Scovillain, and it lives on 1, so that's definitely a Focus Sash on the Meowscarada. Interestingly enough, our Electrode is actually faster than the Meowscarada and it outspeeds him. That's just how fast Electrode is, getting some chip damage onto the Azumarill. But Meowscarada does get a nice bit of chunk onto the Scovillain, and the Azumarill misses the Play Rough. That's actually huge. It is a 90% accuracy move, so that's a 10% chance to miss. So that's actually great for us. We can have Because the sun is no longer up, that means that Scovillain is slower, so we can actually have Electrode try and finish off the Meowscarada, while Scovillain attacks the Azumarill instead. But Meowscarada does have Sucker Punch, so it gets priority and takes out the Scovillain. This is actually a bit of a scary situation now, but at least Electrode is able to pick up the return KO with Foul Play. And I'm pretty sure we should still be able to beat the Azumarill since we do outspeed it next turn with Foul Play again. And oh wow, especially with Play Rough missing there. I mean, I don't think Play Rough can one-shot us. So the fact that they missed that first Play Rough basically meant that we would win anyway. Because there's the KO with Foul Play, but missing 2 in a row is just kicking him while it's down. But that shows off just how well Hawlucha is, and Electrode as well, I guess, as the Frost Sweeper at the end once everything comes down to the wire. But that is effectively how this Scovillain team works. You either set up Sunny Day and have Scovillain himself be the flamethrower powerhouse, or you can have Spicy Extract be there to enable the rest of the team with Foul Play or the Mirror Herb Hawlucha. I will say, you probably noticed that a lot of these teams, none of them had the Paradox Pokemon, like I said earlier. Had this been Series 1 where Paradox Pokemon were still not allowed, this would have been a pretty formidable team. And I don't know how viable this is now with all of the Paradox Pokemon, like I said, but I wanted to get this out just because I feel like Scovillain is so cool and I don't know when else Scovillain will have a time to shine like this. So better now rather than never, right? Hopefully though you enjoyed this team, and if you did and you want to see some other teams, consider subscribing or checking out some of the previous videos. For example, I had an Explosion team and also a Crocodile Anger Point team. So if you want to check those out, click the links below, and until next time, bye bye.